The shuttle hit the ground like a falling star. Metal screamed against rock. Fire exploded through the cabin, and Dr. Marcus Cole felt his world spin into darkness. When he opened his eyes, he was lying in mud. Rain fell on his face. His entire body hurt, but he was alive. Somehow, impossibly, he was alive. Marcus pushed himself up slowly. His hands shook. Blood ran down from a cut on his forehead, mixing with the rain. Around him, pieces of the shuttle burned in the jungle. Smoke rose into the gray sky of this unknown moon. He was a field medic on the human exploration vessel Prometheus. Just 6 hours ago, he had been drinking coffee in the medical bay, joking with his colleagues about their next shore leave. Then the alarm started. Then the evacuation. Then the crash. Now he was alone on Veroth Prime, a moon that belonged to the Volanthi. Marcus knew about the Volanthi. Everyone in the fleet did. They were an ancient species. Part insect, part humanoid. They had 4 eyes, hard armor on their bodies like shells, and absolutely no patience for outsiders. Humans who entered their space without permission did not come back. Ever. He needed to move. He needed to find shelter, water, supplies. He needed to survive long enough for a rescue team to find him. If a rescue team was even coming, Marcus spent the next hour searching through the wreckage. He found his emergency medkit, some ration packs, a water purifier, and a small knife. Not much, but enough to keep him alive for a few days. He also found the bodies of his crewmates. He closed their eyes and said a quiet prayer. There was nothing else he could do for them now. The jungle around him was thick and dark. Strange plants with purple leaves grew everywhere. Animals made sounds he had never heard before. Everything on this moon wanted to kill him. He could feel it. Marcus picked a direction and started walking. He walked for hours. The rain stopped, but the air stayed wet and heavy. His legs burned. His head pounded. But he kept moving because stopping meant dying. Then he saw at another crash site. This one was different. The ship was not human. It was beautiful in a strange way. The metal was dark purple, almost black, and covered in patterns that looked like flowing water. But the beauty was ruined. The ship had been torn apart. Not by the crash, by weapons fire. Someone had shot this ship down. Marcus approached carefully. His heart beat fast in his chest. He held his small knife in front of him, knowing it would do nothing against a Volanthi warrior. But it made him feel slightly less helpless. The ship was empty. Most of it, anyway. But near the back, hidden under a fallen piece of the hull, he saw movement. He froze. Something was under there. Something alive. Every smart part of his brain screamed at him to run. This was Volanthi territory. That was a Volanthi ship. Whatever was under that metal was probably a Volanthi. And Volanthi killed humans on sight. But Marcus was a doctor. He had spent 15 years of his life learning to help people, learning to heal. And the thing under that metal was hurt. He could see dark liquid pooling on the ground. Blood. Alien blood. But blood all the same. He could not walk away. Slowly, carefully, Marcus moved closer. He put down his knife and raised his empty hands to show he meant no harm. Then he grabbed the edge of the fallen metal and pulled. It was heavy. Too heavy. But fear and adrenaline gave him strength he did not know he had. He pulled and pulled until the metal shifted enough for him to see what was underneath. It was a Volanthi. A female, he thought, though he was not sure how he knew that. She was tall, even lying down. Her skin was pale silver, and most of her body was covered in armor that grew from her own flesh. It was beautiful armor, dark blue with gold patterns. Royal armor. But the armor was broken. A large piece was missing from her chest, just below her neck. The area underneath was soft and exposed. It looked almost like human skin, but with a faint glow to it, and it was covered in blood. Violet blood that shimmered in the dim light. She was dying, Marcus did not think. He just acted. He pulled out his medkit and dropped to his knees beside her. His hands moved automatically, doing what they had done 1,000 times before. He cleaned the wound. He applied pressure to stop the bleeding. He used his last tube of coagulant gel to seal the torn flesh. His bare hands touched her exposed skin again and again. He did not have time for gloves. He did not have time for careful procedure. He just worked fast and desperate, trying to save a life. The bleeding slowed, then stopped. He wrapped the wound in clean bandages and sat back, breathing hard. She would live. Probably, if infection did not set in. If she did not have internal injuries he could not see, then her eyes opened. All four of them, they were gold, like liquid metal, and they locked onto him with an intensity that made his blood turn cold. Before he could move, her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was like iron. He could not have escaped if he tried. Marcus waited for death. He waited for her to crush his bones, to tear out his throat, to do any of the horrible things Valanthi were known to do to humans. But she did not kill him. Instead, she spoke. Her voice was rough and weak, filtered through the universal translator on his belt. "You touched me," she said. "You touched the heart plate." Marcus did not understand. "I was trying to help you. You were bleeding. You were dying." Her gold eyes widened. Something moved across her face. Shock, maybe, or horror. "The heart plate is sacred," she whispered. "No one may touch it. No one, except—" She stopped. Her grip on his wrist tightened even more. "Only my consort may touch me there. Only the one I choose to bond with for life." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "I did not know. I swear I did not know. I was just trying to save your life. It does not matter if you knew." Her voice was hard now and something else. Afraid. "You have made the heart claim. By the ancient laws of my people, you have declared yourself my mate. This bond cannot be undone." Marcus opened his mouth to argue, to explain, to apologize. But before he could say anything, a new sound cut through the jungle. Wings. Dozens of them. Coming closer, the Valanthi female turned her head toward the sound. When she looked back at Marcus, her expression had changed. The anger was still there, but now there was something else too. Urgency. "My guard," she said. "They are coming for me. If they find you here, if they see that you touch my heart plate, they will not simply kill you. They will take you apart piece by piece over many days. They will make you suffer in ways your human mind cannot imagine." Marcus could hear them now. The sound of armored bodies moving through the trees. "Getting closer every second? What do I do?" he asked. She released his wrist and pointed toward the thick jungle behind him. "Hide," she commanded. "Hide and do not make a sound. Do not come out until they are gone. Do you understand me, human?" Marcus nodded. He grabbed his medkit and ran into the darkness of the jungle. Behind him, he heard the Valanthi warriors arrive. He heard voices speaking in a language he could not understand. And he heard one word, repeated with shock and reverence, "Queen." He had just accidentally bonded himself to a Valanthi queen. Marcus pressed his back against a tree and tried very hard not to breathe. His life had just become very, very complicated as I treated her wound. The alien queen trembled. "Only my consort may touch me there." Part 2. Queen Silthri of the Valanthi Third Dominion had never lied to her own people before. But as her royal guards surrounded her crashed ship, she spoke words that were completely false. "I treated my own wound," she told them. Her voice was steady and cold, the voice of a queen who expected no questions. "The damage was minor. I require no assistance." Her guards looked at the bandages wrapped around her chest. They were strange bandages. Not Valanthi medical wraps. Something different. Something foreign. But no guard would dare question their queen. The captain of her guard, massive warrior named Kethros, bowed his armored head. "Your Majesty, we have searched the area. We found wreckage from an alien vessel. Human, we believe, but no survivors." Silthri kept her face perfectly still. "Good. Humans are vermin. If any survived, they would not last long in this jungle." "Indeed, Your Majesty. We will continue searching to be certain. Do what you must. But our priority is returning home. My ship was sabotaged. Someone wanted me dead. I want to know who. Kethros nodded. We will find them, my queen, and we will make them suffer. Silthari watched her guards set up a temporary camp around the crashed ship. They moved with perfect discipline, following their biological need to protect their queen. It was instinct for them. They did not choose to serve her. Their bodies simply demanded it. She had never thought about this before. It had always seemed natural, right? But now, after what the human had done, she found herself thinking strange thoughts. He had chosen to help her. There was no instinct forcing him, no biological command. He had seen a dying stranger and decided, all on his own, to save her life. Why would any creature do such a thing? The night came. Silthari told her guard she needed rest and retreated into the remains of her ship, but she did not sleep. The wound on her chest burned with pain. The bandages the human had applied were helping, but they were not enough. She needed proper treatment. Valanthe medicine worked through pheromones, special chemicals that commanded the body to heal, but those chemicals required equipment she did not have. Her medical supplies had been destroyed in the crash. She was getting weaker. She could feel it. The wound was not healing the way it should. If something did not change, she would develop the fever. And the fever killed even queens. Silthari made a decision. She waited until her guards were focused on the perimeter. Then she slipped out of the ship and moved into the dark jungle. Her body protested every step. The pain was terrible. But she was a queen. She had endured worse. It took her an hour to find him. The human had made a small camp in a hidden valley. A tiny fire burned low, barely visible through the thick plants. He sat beside it, eating something from a silver package. When he heard her approach, he jumped to his feet and grabbed his small knife. Then he saw who it was. You, he said. What are you doing here? Your guards are everywhere. I avoided them. Silthari stepped into the light of his fire. She saw his eyes move to the bandages on her chest. Saw the concern on his strange, soft face. Your wound, he said. It is getting worse. Yes. The word cost her more than she wanted to admit. Queens did not show weakness. Ever. But she was out of options. Your medicine? The things you put on me. They stopped the bleeding when nothing else would have. How? The human looked at her for a long moment. Then he gestured for her to sit down. I will explain, he said. But first, let me look at the wound. Silthari did not move. You have already touched my heart plate once, human. Do you understand what you are asking? I am asking to save your life. Again, his voice was calm, patient. Whatever your laws say about touching that place, they will not matter much if you are dead. She could not argue with that logic. Slowly, painfully, she lowered herself to the ground beside his fire. The human worked carefully this time. He removed the old bandages and looked at the wound with focused eyes. His hands were gentle in a way she did not expect. He cleaned the wound with a clear liquid that burned like fire. This is called antiseptic, he explained as he worked. It kills the tiny creatures that cause infection. Your people use pheromones to heal. Yes, we humans do not have that ability. So we learned other ways. He applied a new substance to the wound. A thick paste that cooled the burning pain. This contains antibiotics. They fight infection from the inside. In this, he wrapped fresh bandages around her chest, keeps the wound clean and protected, while your body heals itself. Silthari watched him work. You have no natural armor, no venom, no pheromone control. How has your species survived at all? The human smiled. It was a strange expression. Valanthe did not smile. We survive by learning, he said. By using our minds to solve problems, our bodies cannot. We are weak, yes, but we are also very, very stubborn. Over the following days, the human continued to treat her wound. Each night, Silthari would slip away from her guards and come to his hidden camp. Each night, he would clean the wound, apply his strange medicines, and wrap it with fresh bandages. And each night they talked. She learned his name was Marcus. He was a healer on a human ship. He had family on a planet called Earth. He missed them. He learned that she was the youngest queen in 3 generations, that she had many enemies who thought she was too weak to rule, that this diplomatic mission had been a trap from the start. "Someone wanted you dead," Marcus said one night. "Someone in your own government." "Yes, I have suspected this for some time, but I have no proof." "What will you do?" Silthry looked at the fire. "I will find them, and I will destroy them. That is what queens do." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "You know, where I come from, leaders do not have to destroy their enemies. Sometimes they find ways to work together, to make peace." Peace. Silthry tasted the word like something strange. "Peace is for the weak," Marcus said softly. "Peace is for the wise. War is easy. Any fool with a weapon can start a war. But building something that lasts, something good, that takes real strength." Silthry did not answer, but his words stayed with her long after she returned to her camp that night. The next evening, everything changed. Silthry was making her way through the jungle toward Marcus's camp when she heard voices ahead. Volanthi voices. Her guards. She moved closer and saw a nightmare. A young scout had found the humans' camp. Marcus was on his knees, his hands bound behind his back. 3 guards stood around him with weapons drawn. "Human survivor," the scout reported to Kethros. "Found hiding in this valley? He has been here for days based on the camp. Watching us?" Kethros looked down at Marcus with pure disgust. "Vermin. He probably saw the Queen's ship crash and came to steal from the wreckage. We should kill him slowly as an example." Marcus said nothing, but his eyes found Silthry in the shadows. He did not cry out, did not beg for help. He simply looked at her and waited. She could stay hidden. She could let them kill him. No one would ever know about the heart claim. Her reputation would remain clean. Her position would remain strong, but he had saved her life, not because of instinct, not because of duty. Because he chose to, Silthry stepped out of the shadows. Every guard immediately dropped to their knees. Kethros looked up at her with confusion in his eyes.
"Your Majesty?"
"What are you doing here?" Silthry walked forward until she stood beside Marcus. Her heart was beating so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. "This human is under my protection," she said. Her voice did not shake. "He has initiated the right of heart claim. By the ancient laws of our people, he must be brought before the Dominion Council to face judgment." Silence. Complete, shocked silence. Kethros stared at her. His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. "Your Majesty? You cannot mean... A human has claimed... You heard me, Captain." Silthry looked down at her guards with eyes of gold fire. "This human touched my heart plate. He has made the claim. The law is clear. He must face the council." She had just done it. She had just told her guards, and soon the entire Volanthi Empire, that a human had claimed the right to be her mate. Her enemies would use this against her. Her reputation would suffer. Everything would become more difficult. But Marcus would live. Somehow, that mattered more than she expected. As I treated her wound, Alien Queen trembled. "Only my consort may touch me there." Part 3, the chains around Marcus's wrists were cold and heavy. They were made from some dark metal he did not recognize. Strong enough to hold a Volanthi warrior, far more than enough to hold a human. He sat in a small cell on a Volanthi transport ship. Through a tiny window, he watched stars pass by. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home, his family. He wondered if he would ever see them again. The journey to the Volanthi throne world took 3 days. 3 days of silence, 3 days of guards looking at him like he was something disgusting they had found on the bottom of their feet. 3 days of wondering if he had made a terrible mistake by helping that dying queen. No, he shook that thought away. Helping someone in need was never a mistake. Whatever happened next, he did not regret saving her life. On the 4th day, the ship landed. Marcus was pulled from his cell and marched down a long ramp. When he stepped outside, he stopped breathing for a moment. Kethros. The Volanthi. Throneword. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Massive towers rose from the ground like the spires of some ancient cathedral. They were made from the same dark material as the chains, and they stretched so high that their tops disappeared into the clouds. Between the towers, millions of Valanthi moved through the streets, flying, walking, crawling on walls. More aliens than Marcus had ever seen in his entire life, and every single one of them stopped to stare at him. He was the first human to ever set foot on this world, the first human most of them had ever seen. They looked at him with curiosity, with disgust, with hatred. Marcus kept his head high and kept walking. The guards led him through the city toward the largest tower of all. The Tower of Queens, they called it. Inside, the 12 most powerful Valanthi in the galaxy would decide his fate. The throne room was massive. The ceiling was so high that Marcus could barely see it. 12 thrones sat in a half circle, each one carved from stone and decorated with gold. 11 of the thrones were filled with Valanthi queens, ancient, powerful creatures who had ruled for centuries. The 12th throne was empty. That was Silthuri's place. Marcus was pushed to his knees in the center of the room. The chains on his wrists were attached to the floor, forcing him to stay down. He could not stand even if he wanted to. Silthuri entered through a side door. She wore armor of deep blue and gold, the same colors he had seen on her when they first met. Her wound was hidden beneath the chest plate. Her face showed no emotion at all. She walked to her throne and sat down. She did not look at Marcus once. The eldest queen rose from her throne. She was called Velthera, and she was older than any living thing Marcus had ever seen. Her armor was cracked with age. Her eyes were white and blind, but her voice was strong. "We are gathered to judge the creature called Marcus Cole of Earth," Velthara announced. "He stands accused of unlawful heart claim against our sister, Queen Silthuri of the Third Dominion." A murmur ran through the chamber. Marcus saw several queens looking at Silthuri with open contempt. One queen in particular, a large female with red armor and cruel eyes, was smiling in a way that made his skin crawl. "The law is clear," Velthara continued. "A heart claim is sacred. It cannot be made by accident. It cannot be made by force. It can only be made by one who is worthy of bonding with a queen. This human must now prove his worthiness or face punishment." The Red Queen stood up. Her name was Vexera, and she was everything Silthuri was not: loud, cruel, hungry for power. With respect, Matriarch Vexera said, "There is nothing to prove. This creature is human. Humans are barely more than animals. They have no armor, no venom, no place in our society. The very idea that one could be worthy of a queen is an insult to everything we stand for." Several other queens nodded in agreement. "I say we execute him now," Vexera continued. "A quick death, clean and simple. Then we can discuss what to do about our sister Silthuri, who has allowed herself to be touched by vermin." Silthuri's hands tightened on the arms of her throne, but she said nothing. Velthora raised a hand for silence. "The accused has the right to speak before judgment. That is also the law." She turned her blind eyes toward Marcus. "Human. Do you have words for this council?" Marcus looked up at the 12 queens. 11 of them wanted him dead. The 12th could not help him without destroying herself. He was alone in a room full of creatures who hated his entire species, but he was not afraid. Fear was for people who had something to lose. He had already lost everything. He stood up as far as his chains would allow. "I did not know your customs," he said. His voice was clear and steady. "I did not know about the heart plate or what it meant to touch it. I only knew that someone was dying in front of me, and I could help." Vexora laughed. "Ignorance is not a defense, human." "I am not making a defense," Marcus replied. "I am telling you the truth. Your queen was wounded. She was bleeding. She would have died if I had not treated her. I saw someone who needed help, and I helped them. That is what humans do. It is what stupid creatures do," Vexera shot back. "Smart creatures know when to walk away." Marcus met her eyes without flinching. "Then maybe I am stupid. Maybe my whole species is stupid. But I would rather be stupid and kind than smart and cruel. The chamber fell silent. No one had ever spoken to a queen that way. Not even other queens? You call us cruel? Vexera's voice was dangerous now. You are in chains, human. We could kill you with a thought. And you dare call us cruel? Yes, Marcus said simply, because you see kindness as weakness. You see compassion as something to mock. I saved your queen's life, and instead of being grateful, you want to execute me for it. If that is not cruel, I do not know what is. Vexera moved toward him, her claws extending. I will tear out your throat myself, you insignificant little enough. The word came from Velthera. It was quiet, but it carried the weight of centuries. Vexera froze in place. The human speaks of compassion as though it were strength, the ancient queen said slowly. Curious, I have not heard such foolishness in centuries. She paused, and yet I do not sense deception in him. He believes what he says, completely. That makes him a fool, not worthy, Vexera insisted. Perhaps Velsora turned her blind gaze toward Siltheri. Tell me, young queen. This human saved your life. Is this true? Siltheri hesitated for only a moment. Yes, matriarch. It is true. Without his intervention, I would have died from my wounds. And his medicine. It was effective? More effective than our own methods would have been. Human healing works differently than ours. They do not rely on pheromones. They have developed other ways. Velthera made a sound that might have been interest. Other ways. How fascinating. She was silent for a long moment. The entire chamber waited. I have made my decision, Velthera announced. The human will not be executed. Vexara's face twisted with anger. Matriarch, you cannot. I am the eldest. I can. Velthora's voice was iron. The human will face the proving. 3 trials designed to test the worthiness of any who claim a queen. If he survives, the heart claim will be recognized. If he fails, he dies. That is my judgment. Marcus felt his stomach drop. The proving. He had no idea what that meant, but from the looks on the queen's faces, it was not good. Vexara was smiling again. A cruel, satisfied smile. The proving, then. I look forward to watching this human fail. The guards unchained Marcus from the floor and began to drag him away. As he passed Siltheri's throne, she finally looked at him. Her golden eyes were unreadable, but as he was pulled through the door, he heard her voice, quiet enough that only he could hear. Survive, human! That is not a request. Marcus did not know what the proving would bring. He did not know if he could survive trials designed for creatures far stronger than himself. But for her, he would try. As I treated her wound, the alien queen trembled. Only my consort may touch me there. Part 4th, the arena was filled with millions of Valanthi. They sat in rows that stretched up toward the sky, so many bodies that Marcus could not see where they ended. Every screen in the Dominion was showing this moment. Billions were watching. Waiting to see the human die, Marcus stood alone in the center of the arena. He wore simple clothes. No armor, no weapons. Just a man against trials designed for warriors, Queen Vexera's voice echoed through the stadium. She had demanded the honor of announcing the trials. Her excitement was barely hidden. Citizens of the Dominion, today you will witness the proving. This human creature has made a heart claim against Queen Siltheri. Now he must prove his worth through 3 sacred trials. If he fails any trial, he dies. If he somehow survives all 3, the claim will be recognized. She paused to let the crowd react. Laughter and mocking sounds filled the air. The first trial is the Maze of Whispers. Let it begin. The ground beneath Marcus opened up. He fell into darkness. When he landed, he was in a tunnel made of black stone. The walls seemed to move and breathe. Strange mist floated in the air, and the moment he breathed it in, something changed inside his mind. Fear. Terrible, overwhelming fear. It crashed into him like a wave. His heart pounded. His hands shook. Every shadow seemed to hide something deadly. Every sound was a monster coming to kill him. Marcus fell to his knees, gasping for air. The fear was too strong. It was not natural. It was coming from the mist itself. Pheromones. The maze was filled with pheromones designed to create. Terravalanthe warriors could resist these chemicals. Their bodies were built for it. But humans had no such defense. Marcus felt like his mind was being torn apart by pure panic. He could give up. He could lie down and let the fear consume him. It would be so easy. No, Marcus forced himself to think. The fear was not real. It was just chemicals tricking his brain. He had studied psychology during his medical training. He knew how the mind worked. He knew that fear was just a signal, and signals could be controlled. He closed his eyes. He slowed his breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Again, again. He focused on the feeling of his feet on the ground, the coolness of the stone beneath his hands. Real things. Solid things. The fear did not go away, but it became smaller, manageable. He could think again. Marcus stood up and started walking. He tore strips from his shirt and used them to mark the paths he had already taken. Left, right, straight, left again. The maze tried to confuse him. The mist tried to break him. But he kept moving, kept breathing, kept thinking. After what felt like hours, he saw a light ahead. He ran toward it and burst out of the maze into the arena. The crowd went silent. He had finished the first trial in half the expected time. Vexera's voice came again, and this time she did not sound so pleased. The human has completed the maze of whispers. The second trial will now begin. The Beast of Kethveros. A massive gate opened on the far side of the arena. The ground shook with heavy footsteps. And then Marcus saw it. The beast was the size of a building. It had 6 legs, each one ending in claws as long as swords. Its body was covered in thick armor plates. Its mouth was filled with teeth that could crush stone. It was a nightmare made flesh. Marcus had nothing. No weapons. No armor. No chance of fighting this thing and winning. So he did not try to fight. He ran. The crowd laughed at first. The cowardly human running from the beast. But Marcus was not running away. He was running toward something. The arena was not flat. There were rocks, pillars, broken walls, things left from previous trials. Marcus had studied the arena from his cell. He had noticed a narrow canyon between 2 large stone formations. Too narrow for something as big as the beast, he sprinted toward it, the ground shaking behind him as the creature followed. Its roar was so loud that his ears rang. Its breath was hot on his back. Marcus dove into the narrow canyon just as the beast reached him. Its claws scraped the stone, but it could not fit. It was stuck at the entrance, roaring with frustration. But Marcus knew it would not stay stuck forever. It was already pushing, breaking the rocks, making the opening wider. He looked around desperately. There had to be something he could use. Then he saw them. Old explosive charges left over from some previous trial, damaged but still functional. Marcus grabbed the charges and climbed up the canyon walls. The beast was breaking through now, its massive head forcing its way into the narrow space. He placed the charges at the weakest points of the canyon walls. Then he jumped to safety and covered his ears. The explosion was deafening. The walls collapsed. Tons of rock fell onto the beast, burying it completely. Marcus stood on top of the rubble, breathing hard. Blood ran from cuts on his arms and face. But he was alive. The crowd was not laughing anymore. Vexara's voice was cold with anger when she spoke again. The human has completed the second trial. The third and final trial will now begin. The Queen's question. The rubble cleared away. Marcus was left standing alone in the center of the arena. And then Siltheri walked out to meet him. She looked magnificent in her royal armor. Her golden eyes burned with intensity. But Marcus saw something else in them too. Something that might have been hope. She stopped a few feet away from him and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. This is the final trial. I will ask you one question. If your answer is worthy, you will have proven yourself. If it is not, you will die. Do you understand? Marcus nodded. I understand. Silthari was silent for a long moment. The entire arena held its breath. Why should I accept you? She asked. You are human. Your species is weak. You have no armor, no venom, no power. I am a queen of billions. I could have any warrior in the Dominion. Why should I, a queen of the Valanthia, accept a creature whose species I have never even considered equals? The question hung in the air. Marcus knew that everything depended on his answer. He stepped closer to her, close enough to see the slight tremble in her hands, close enough to see the loneliness she hid behind her royal mask. You should not accept me, he said quietly. Not because I am strong. I am not strong by your standards. Not because I am powerful. I have nothing. No army, no kingdom, no title. He paused and looked directly into her golden eyes. But I have spent the last week watching you, Silthari. You are surrounded by subjects who obey you because their instincts force them to. Advisors who fear you. Guards who would die for you because their biology demands it. His voice grew softer. When was the last time someone treated you like a person instead of a queen? When was the last time someone touched you because they wanted to help, not because protocol demanded it? Silthari's composure cracked. Just slightly. Just enough for him to see. I did not save you because you were royalty, Marcus continued. I saved you because you were hurt. Because you needed help. And I think that is something you have never experienced before. Someone choosing to care about you. Not the crown. Not the power you. The arena was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Silthari stared at him for a long moment. Her golden eyes were bright with something that might have been tears. If Valanthi could cry, then she spoke, her voice ringing across the stadium. The proving is complete. The human is found worthy. The crowd erupted. Some screamed in outrage. Others shouted in disbelief. A few, very few, actually cheered. But before anyone could react further, explosions shook the arena. Fire and smoke filled the air. Armored warriors poured through the walls, weapons raised. Vexera's voice cut through the chaos. The Dominion will not be ruled by a queen who bonds with vermin. Take them both. Kill anyone who resists. Marcus grabbed Silthari's hand and pulled her toward the nearest exit. Behind them, battle erupted as loyalist guards fought against the attackers. The coup had begun, and they were running for their lives. As I treated her wound, the alien queen trembled. Only my consort may touch me there. Part 5. The war lasted 30 days. 30 days of fire and blood. 30 days of battles across a dozen worlds. 30 days of watching everything Silthari had built threaten to crumble into dust. Queen Vexera had planned her coup well. She had spent years placing loyal soldiers in key positions. She had bribed commanders and poisoned minds with hatred. By the time her forces attacked the arena, she already controlled 3 of the 12 throne worlds. Her message spread across the Dominion like a disease. Silthari is weak. Silthari has shamed us all. Silthari has bonded with human vermin. Follow me, and I will restore our glory. Many believed her. Many joined her cause, but not everyone. SYLT hooray, and Marcus escaped the arena through underground tunnels that only the royal family knew about. They gathered what loyal forces remained and retreated to the fortress moon of Velkath. There, surrounded by enemies on all sides, they prepared to fight back. Marcus was not a warrior. He could not lead armies into battle. He could not fight Valanthi soldiers in combat. But he had something else to offer, something the Valanthi had never considered: ideas on the 5th night of the war. Marcus sat with Silthari and her commanders around a battle map. The situation was desperate. Vexera's forces outnumbered them 3-1. A direct attack would be suicide. We cannot win through strength alone, Marcus said. So we need to fight smarter. The Valantha commanders looked at him with doubt. What could a human possibly teach them about war? But Silthari raised her hand for silence. Let him speak. Marcus pointed to the map. Vexera's army is large, but it is held together by fear and promises. Her soldiers fight because they believe she will win. What happens if that belief starts to break? They would lose confidence, one commander admitted. Some might desert. Exactly. So we do not attack her army. We attack her story. Marcus looked around the table. We spread doubt. We send messages to her troops, telling them that their commanders are planning to betray them. We make them suspicious of each other. We turn her strength into weakness. The commanders exchanged glances. This was not how Valenthi fought wars. Wars were won through strength and honor. It's not tricks and whispers. But they were losing the honorable way. Silthari made the decision. We try it. It worked. Over the following weeks, Marcus helped design a campaign of confusion. False messages. Planted rumors. Carefully leaked information that made Vexera's allies distrust each other. Her massive army began to crack from the inside. At the same time, Marcus taught Valenthi healers human medical techniques. Antiseptics and antibiotics. Wounded soldiers who would have died began to survive. Word spread through Silthari's forces that the human was saving lives. The soldiers who had once looked at Marcus with disgust began to look at him with something else. Respect. But the war was far from over. Vexera still had more soldiers, more ships, more worlds. Every victory Silthari won was matched by 2 defeats. The Fortress Moon was running out of supplies, running out of time. On the 20th night, Silthari found Marcus standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars. You should be resting, she said. I cannot sleep. He did not turn around. I keep thinking about all the people dying because of me. If I had just walked away from your crashed ship, none of this would have happened. Silthari moved to stand beside him. If you had walked away, I would be dead. And Vexera would have taken the throne without a fight. She has wanted this war for decades. You did not cause it. You simply gave me the chance to fight back. Marcus finally looked at her. Do you ever regret it? The heart claim? Being bonded to a human? Silthari was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than he had ever heard it. The bond was an accident. You never chose it. You never chose me. She paused. When this war ends, I could petition for dissolution. You could return to your people. Forget any of this ever happened. Marcus turned to face her fully. Is that what you want? I am asking what you want. He reached out and took her clawed hand in his. She trembled at the touch, just like she had that first day in the jungle. I did not choose to crash on that moon, he said quietly. I did not choose to find you dying. I did not choose any of this. But I am choosing now. I am choosing to stay. Not because of some ritual or ancient law, because I have seen who you are, Silthari, and I want to keep seeing. Ah! Her golden eyes widened. For a moment, she could not speak. Then her hand tightened around his. You are a very strange creature, Marcus Cole. I know. He smiled. Is that a problem? No, she said softly. I think it might be the best thing that ever happened to me. The final battle came on the 30th day. Vexera gathered her remaining forces for one massive attack on Velkath. She was tired of waiting. Tired of her army falling apart. She would crush Silthari with overwhelming force and end the war forever. But Marcus had one last idea. Let me speak to them, he said. Broadcast my voice to every ship in her fleet. Let me talk to her soldiers directly. Silthari hesitated. What will you say? The truth? The transmission went out to every Valanthi ship in the system, friend and enemy alike. Marcus stood in front of a camera and spoke from his heart. I know you see me as an outsider, an accident, a pollution of your traditions. But I have fought beside your daughters. I have healed your wounded. I have watched your queen sacrifice everything to protect her people, not because instinct demanded it, but because she chose to. He paused and let the words sink in. Your traditions say only the strong may rule. But strength is not just armor and venom. It is the courage to change, to grow, to see someone different and choose understanding over fear. Silthari is not weak because she accepted me. She is the strongest ruler you have ever had, because she had the courage to see beyond what she was taught. He took a breath. Vexera offers you a return to the old ways. Fear, isolation, hatred of anything different. But what has hatred ever built? What has fear ever created? Nothing? Nothing but more hatred and more fear. Silthery offers you something new. A future where strength and compassion can exist together. Where you do not have to choose between being powerful and being kind. That is the dominion she is fighting for. That is what I am fighting for. The choice is yours. The transmission ended. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, ships in Vexera's fleet began to change course. Commanders who had been doubting her for weeks finally made their choice. Soldiers who had heard stories about the human healer decided they wanted to be part of something better. By the time the battle began, Vexera had lost half her fleet. The rest was a rout. Silthari's forces swept through the remaining enemy ships. Vexera was captured trying to flee and brought before the Dominion Council in chains. The war was over. In the weeks that followed, the Dominion began to change. Slowly, carefully, but truly. Human medical knowledge spread through the Empire, saving countless lives. Diplomatic channels opened with other species for the first time in centuries. The phrase human compassion stopped being an insult and became something else entirely. The blind matriarch Velthira spoke at the ceremony, recognizing Marcus as Silthery's official consort. Her ancient voice carried across the chamber. Perhaps it is time the Velanthi learned what humans already know, that the heart is stronger than the hive. Marcus and Silthery stood together on the balcony of the royal spire, looking out over the rebuilt city of Kathvaros. Her hand rested on his shoulder. His hand held hers. You know, Marcus said, I still do not fully understand your people's traditions. And I do not fully understand yours, Silthery replied. A sound came from her throat that he had learned to recognize as Velanthi laughter. But I find I wish to learn, he smiled. Then I guess we have time. Yes, my consort. She turned to look at him, her golden eyes warm with something that needed no translation. We have all the time in the universe. Far below, in the streets of the capital, a young Velanthi child asked her mother about the strange soft creature standing beside the queen. That is a human, the mother replied. They are small and weak and have no armor at all. Then how did he become the queen's consort? The mother thought about it for a moment. Then she smiled. Because sometimes, little one, the strongest thing in the universe is a kind heart. The end.